Hi Kira. If you don't know me, my name is Ari, and today I'm going to be filming something slightly different compared to my last video that was extremely controversial, as well as the one before that. So, I finished watching Kayla Malik's video of He Doesn't Love You, and it inspired me to film this one. Now, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend you go watch it. I know my videos don't get that many viewers, but a lot of people have said it has encouraged them to leave their partner who is abusive, and I would encourage you, if you're going through a situation where you think there might be abuse, I would encourage you to go watch it because I think it's a very important video to watch. But yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about my own experience as well. And I know I've talked about it before, but I kind of want to talk about that and maybe relate it to where it stems from, like where your kind of limerence behavior might stem from, as well as talk about abuse and outline that this shit is not normal and you should not accept it regardless of gender. I know that this is the man hating channel. Before I went to come in and film this video, I told my stepdad I would be filming, and he said, "Oh, are you making another video where you bait weird men into debating you online?" And I said no. Today is going to be a little bit different. So yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about maybe warning signs in a gender neutral tone where I can include men in the conversation, because I think it's important, as I do think that these kind of abusive situations might happen to women more. I do think it's important to include men in the conversation because they are susceptible to abuse. Anybody is. Anybody. Yes. Go Ari, congrats. Now, I would like to give a little update on my relationships. This is my first single summer. So every summer since college, I have been in a relationship. I'm currently going into my senior year, and this is the first summer where I've been single. I've been single and celibate for 2 months now, and I think it's really helped me connect to myself more. This is the longest I've been single or celibate, not in some kind of situationship or relationship, since college. I've always been in one, and I haven't really had time to be by myself. I reconnected with my faith, which is good, but if anybody taught me anything, it was just because you're religious or believe in, karmic cycles or the universe or whatever, you do not have to be a doormat. So I know the Bible teaches you, if somebody slaps you in the face, turn your other cheek, but obviously, if you've seen any of my previous videos, I'm not that kind of person, and I probably never will be. So let's get into it. I have been in a plethora of relationships, but I guess we can dive into my canon event relationship with somebody whose name rhymes with Schmalik Schmander. Now, I've talked about him a lot. He's actually the reason why I started this channel, so I could remind myself, hey, you may be reminiscing on positive moments of the relationship and may want to go back, and that's something I really learned from being single, is like, kind of yearning for that relationship because I could always go back to it. Kind of being like, oh, well, it wasn't really that bad, maybe I should reach out, blah, 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 blah. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Literally ever, don't do that. Because as much as you might feel hopeless being alone, it's even worse to be in those kinds of situations. Obviously, Kayla Malik talked about a lot of her physical abuse, and my relationships didn't have a lot of that. It was more so verbal, mental, sexual abuse. So, yeah, but it doesn't even have to go that far. It doesn't have to go as far as being, sexual abuse or physical abuse for you to recognize that it's abuse and leave, or, nothing has to go that far for you to start thinking, hey, this is abuse. Because I know a lot of times, like, me or, you know, other survivors might have to think, like, you know, well, he's not beating me, so it's fine. But no, like, psychological warfare is damaging, and it changes everything from your appearance to the way your brain works. I remember when I got out of my relationship, my brain was completely changed. Like, even my friends noticed. They were like, you don't behave the same way that you did before you were in this relationship. Like, I was not a completely different person, but I had these sort of habits that you gain, or the way they kind of like train you to behave. Like, he wanted a more, you know, submissive girlfriend, I guess, like somebody who would be more accepting of his bad behavior, or you know, would let things roll off. Like, if he, you know, were to cheat on me or be verbally abusive or call me a slut or whatever, I was just expected to let it roll off, or be like, oh fuck, you know what, maybe I am a fucking whore, even though who was really the whore, the cheater or me? But I digress. It's like they kind of train you to behave in a certain way, and it wasn't until like months later that I got out of that mindset. But yeah, I think being single for a long time has kind of taught me, like, I would rather be alone and learn how to love myself than literally be hating myself in that relationship. And a big thing that Kayla talked about in her video was, you know, these relationships can literally kill you. Like, and she was in a very physical one, which is true. Like, if a man can hit you and beat you, he will kill you eventually. Like, whether it be him doing it to you, or you know, resorting to something horrible like suicide or whatever, these people will kill you. And it was the same thing with me. Like, when I was in my relationship, you know, it wasn't necessarily physical, but I went on antidepressants because I was so depressed in the relationship, and obviously it got turned to me a lot, being like, oh, well, you're just fucking like depressed all the time. It's like, okay, yeah, but like what's causing that? I guess I didn't dig deep enough. It was always just, you know, you're so sad and all you do is complain, whatever. So I ended up getting on antidepressants, but clearly they didn't work because I was in the same environment. You know, I wasn't really healing from that environment. I was staying in it. So, you know, I did have a lot of thoughts of suicide, and did self-harm in that relationship, whether it be like alcoholism or you know, substances, whatever. But yeah, it was just you end up killing yourself in those situations. It's like, but it's caused by them. And if you start indulging in those kinds of behaviors, like, while you're in a relationship, like, I mean, that should be a warning sign. I mean, obviously, you know, you can't blame the victim, because obviously I stayed after that. I didn't know that, you know, maybe they were the one causing me to turn to those things. But it's like, you feel trapped in that relationship and suffocated, because like, where else are you supposed to go if you're not with them? Especially because this was my first relationship. I was like, where do I go? You know, I haven't imagined my life without you since we've been together, and I just can't leave you, and I want to fix you. And that's part of the thing that I think comes from childhood a lot. I mean, I have a lot of childhood trauma from my stepmom and dad, as I've talked about in the past, and I think probably because of that, it makes me, you know, seek out people like them in the future to try to heal that part of my childhood that I couldn't heal later on. Or like, you know, kind of earn the love that I thought I deserved as a child. Like, obviously me and my dad have reconnected and have started talking again, but when I was a kid, he wasn't really available emotionally. Like, my stepmom was abusive towards us, physically, mentally, verbally, whatever. And we told our dad about it, and he didn't do anything. even though he knew everything about it, he kind of would blame it on us and be like, oh, well, you know, she's just doing it to make you better. Or she's just, you know, kind of a hard ass or whatever. But that's not really true, is it? Because it's like teaching somebody not to be a bad kid, even though me and my siblings were pretty good kids. Teaching somebody, you know, not to hit somebody or not to, you know, not to behave a certain way. You're going to hit them to tell them to stop behaving a certain way. Like, I can't imagine a kid being less violent after that. You know, it's like treating violence with violence. It doesn't really work out in the end, I think. But I digress. You know, I think a big part of it is you kind of also rationalize it, whether it's conscious or not. You kind of rationalize, you know, your partner not being the best or being, you know, abusive to you as like, oh, well, you know, my parent loved me, and they did similar behaviors like withholding love during punishment or whatever, and, you know, my partner does that and they love me, so it's like, if they can love me and still do all these things, then my partner can love me and still do all these things. So, I mean, childhood really fucking sets you up for failure. I mean, shit. Like, looking back, I don't know. Like, I think getting the silent treatment a lot as a kid for little things I didn't necessarily do wrong, but I was told was wrong, sets you up to feel really anxious when your partner gives you silent treatments in the future. It's like, it's just hard to explain. Like, I've talked about this before, like, daddy issues, blah, 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 Oedipus complex, Sigmund Freud would be rolling in his grave if you heard about me, yes, whatever. But, I mean, it's the truth. Like, there's some truth to it, whether you believe it or not. Like, I mean, if, no matter, regardless of your gender, you know, you still seek out that love in the future, and it's fucked up, and I personally don't know how to end it. I think that just thinking that you don't deserve that is a good start, but that's easier said than done, because you can be in a relationship, a bad relationship, and think, damn, I really don't fucking deserve this, and you still get those glimmers of hope or love, and you're like, oh, oh, so you do love me, but no, they don't. They don't. Because if somebody can do the already verbally abusive thing, or, you know, physically abusive thing, or whatever, they don't love you. They don't care about you. Like, as much as it might seem like that, because I know that that person is always the person to take care of you after, because who the fuck else are you supposed to tell? You know, like, when I was in bad relationships, I never told my friends right after what happened. It's always the person who does it to you who's healing you, because how are you supposed to tell your friend, oh, my boyfriend cheated on me? Well, are you leaving him? No. How the fuck are you supposed to say that? Because obviously the evil person already got to your brain and scrambled it around and told you, oh, I did it because you did this and you were being a whore or whatever, just says some fuck shit and makes you think that, oh, maybe it is my fault that you did that. Same thing with any kind of physical or sexual abuse. Oh, maybe it is my fault that you did something to me in my sleep, or, you know, but it's never your fault. And that seems easier, you know, easier said than done. I mean, obviously, nobody deserves that. No matter what you did, nobody deserves that kind of behavior. But it's like, there's a way, they're like a little worm that crawls up in through your eye and into your brain and tells you, oh, it is your fault. Everything's my fault. That's why you beat me. But it's not. So, I don't know. There are warning signs to these things. And they're hard to see, but if you have an abusive parent and the person you're dating starts to behave like said abusive parent, run, leave, literally leave, because they will never stop and it will never end and they will never change. Trust me, I went back, oh, I'm not crying, my eyes just like leaking. But like I went back to my ex like so many times, to the point where my mom like literally doesn't let me talk about the situation anymore. But I went back to him so many times. It's like never once. It's always the first time, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Please come back to me. Oh my god, whatever. Okay, yeah, totally, I'll go back. And then what happens a month later? The abuse starts again, whatever. And sometimes it doesn't even need to take that long. But you just think, like, you just keep chasing that, especially if you've seen any of my past videos. I have BPD, and I'm a sex and love addict, allegedly, according to my mom. She thinks that. But, you know, you will keep chasing that regardless, especially if you had a fucked up childhood. So, I don't know, it's hard to run away from your past. I don't really know how to fix it. Besides being alone, I think being alone for a long time has taught me a lot of things. I think it's taught me not to indulge in another relationship because one didn't work out, or, you know, go back to an ex because you remember all the positive parts and not all the parts where they were, you know, making you scream, cry in a bathroom, falling to the ground with your head in your hands like, fuck, I can't believe I'm here, or going on antidepressants because the abuse was so bad. So, I don't know, this is kind of a bummer of a video, I guess. I do have a funny one coming out soon. I have to edit it, and it was taking a little bit longer than I thought. And if you didn't know, I go to FSU. Ding! I go to FSU, so there was a shooting on campus recently. If you can find any of the GoFundMes, I recommend donating to them. I might put some in the description. But yeah, and that definitely caused a lot of hectic behavior on campus. So yeah, I don't know, it's been a rough couple of months, but I think that I've, you know, like I said, like I've reconnected with my faith a lot, and I've gotten closer to my friends instead of, you know, kind of hiding away and isolating myself like what I usually do when I'm depressed. And I've become a lot better at expressing my feelings and talking about my feelings, which is good. That's part of the whole reason why I started this. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that if you're in a situation, whether it be verbal or physical or whatever, you can leave, and you should. I know it feels like life or death. A lot of these situations do, because, you know, obviously you haven't really imagined your life or what it could be like without them. But it gets so much better. I mean, I thought me and my ex-boyfriend were like end all be all, and like I was, you know, like I don't even know how to describe it, but I'm sure that you understand. And regardless of gender, you know, reach out to somebody. It might be hard, especially if you're a man, to talk about your feelings, but it's okay. It's okay to feel vulnerable and weak. You know, it's okay to express that, regardless of how strong you think you are. I thought I always was a strong person. I would always think, like, when people were in abusive situations, oh, you can just leave. But like, it's easier said than done, especially when you get into one. So yeah, just try to reach out to somebody. And there are hotlines you can call as well. So yeah, I guess it's the end of this one. I know I sound super low energy, and that's because I am, but I wanted to come on here and talk about something because this topic is very important to me. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and following me along, even though I post probably once a month, but it means a lot to me. I think there's like 142 subscribers, which is crazy because I can't even imagine 100 people listening to me. So thank you so much, especially for all of the nice people who write comments. It makes my heart very happy. And if you guys need to talk, drop a comment and I will respond. I normally respond to all my comments. So yeah, have a good day.